Hey guys, welcome back to Hush. I'm talking, babe, where I talk and you listen. Damn, I promise you guys, the giggle is not on purpose. I just find it so funny that I came up with that. Like, it's a little bit insane in my opinion. Anyways, welcome back to episode 3, guys. Very excited to film this once again. Trying to stay consistent with it. As you can see, I have myself a better mic, an actual podcast mic. I decided to invest in one just because I think I was not happy with the way the audio was coming across in my other episodes, and I just want you guys to have a better experience. So yeah, I decided to cop myself one. I'm very much happy with it. So yeah, let's see what's to come. And also, as you can see, the setting is different. I'm at home. I'm in my living room just because I didn't really like the look of my other episodes as well. Like I said, they were trial episodes. I just wanted to put my voice out there first. But now I'm thinking a bit more about the visuals and how I want this to come across. Because like I said in the first episode, I want it to be as if you're on FaceTime with me. So yeah, I just want it to feel more like that, if it makes sense, if that makes sense. So yeah, this episode today is going to be called The Rise of Black Britishness. Just because this has been a thing that's been on my mind for the past month. And given that we just left Black History Month, I feel like it's kind of appropriate to have an episode surrounding something like this. And yeah, but the thing is, I've been seeing, I don't know if the internet has made me think about it or I've been thinking about it and the internet copied my mind. But yeah, it's been a conversation that's been online recently, and there's been a lot of discourse around it and a lot of discourse around certain creatives who have been kind of taking that identity, but for some reason people feel that they shouldn't. But if you want to find a podcast to listen to that, don't come here. This is not a podcast for that, babe. Like, I'm telling you, this is supposed to be a positive podcast. It is supposed to be a podcast where we talk about uplifting people and uplifting yourself and, understanding your own identity and what makes you you, rather than what other people think about your identity or what other people think about other people's identity. So, you can go find that somewhere else. But yeah, so this episode is about I guess what Black Britishness is to me. Yeah, I just wanted to have more of I just want to talk about what it means to me and how I think that if you do feel like you're Black British, you should in fact claim that culture rather than, not feeling like you can just because other people say you can't. So, first of all, I'm going to talk about me and, my culture. So I am Nigerian. My dad is born in Nigeria and my mum is born in this country. Actually, she's born in the Midlands. Her dad, my granddad, has been in this country since the 60s. He came as an engineer and technically he's part of the Windrush generation. He has some of the reparations that the Windrush generation has kind of gotten over the years. He has things like pension here and stuff like that. So technically he's a part of that generation, even though we are not from the Caribbean. And I actually don't know anyone who has a parent who is African and is born in this country other than my own family. So there are certain aspects of my identity that I feel I don't know where to put myself. Just because I've never really talked about it in depth until recently. Oh yeah, and also I'm Igbo. My family's Igbo. Both my parents are from the same. Both my parents are from the same village. So yeah. And unfortunately, embarrassingly, I do not speak the language. I do not speak Igbo. I do not understand Igbo. My older sister does. My younger sister doesn't. I don't know. I understood it a little bit when I was younger, but completely, I guess, lost it as I got older. And yeah, I definitely want that to be a thing in the next coming years, soon actually, to understand my language and speak my language. Like, yeah. And I've been to Nigeria, I think twice, been twice. We're supposed to go this year, but we're gonna go next year. Um, yeah, so I feel familiar, but there is a level of like there's a slight removal from it, and there's also a level of dissonance, I guess, if that's the word. That I don't feel completely connected to the fact that I am Nigerian, even though I am very much Nigerian. My family are very much Nigerian. Um, but just because you eat the food, you listen to music, and you dress a certain culture does not mean you are fully immersed in that culture, or you have that is your full identity, if that makes sense. Um, so the definition of culture, the Google definition of culture, is the ideas, customs, and social behavior of a particular people or society. I'm going to say it again like Dr. Umar. The ideas, customs, and social behavior of a particular people or society. Now, I think also it's another thing about being of another generation. We are not the same. Even if you have parents who are born in this country, you're African or Caribbean, or they're immigrants, we are not the same as our parents. We have different ideas, customs, and social behavior because we're born in this country, and it's a mix of both. And even people who are born in their like family's country and then move here when they're young also have different ideas, customs, and social behaviors. So I think there is a level of me recently, I've been claiming the fact that I'm Black British rather than like fully like Nigerian. Just because of the mix of combinations and how I've grown up, and what that means to me. Like, my mum's born in Wolverhampton, and my mum's siblings, a lot of them are in Wolves now, and so she is a I would say perfect combination of both. But her having that combination of both, whilst also me being here, born here, it's like there's a slight lean towards. And the thing is, it's so difficult to say, but a slight lean towards like being Black British more than Nigerian. And I hate saying that because, and I actually feel a bit of shame, which is why I haven't really talked about it, because I feel like I should be fully connected to where I'm from. But I'm not. I'm truthfully not. And I think when you say that to people, they must think, oh, this person wants to be white. Like, no, I'm not connected to British culture. I'm connected to Black British culture, or I guess the experience of a Black African Londoner. I feel like that is a very specific but common experience. And yeah, I do feel a level of shame, but also it makes sense because as the line goes down, that generation becomes more and more removed from an original culture. Like I said before, we have different ideas, customs, and social behaviors than our parents do because number one, we're from another generation, and number two, because we're raised in this country. And I think that's okay because we have a combination of both, where you're in school and you, I guess, immersed in British culture, whatever that is, and you come home to your very much ethnic parents, to your African or Caribbean parents. And it allows you to do things like code switch and, just have a range of experiences. Yeah, so yeah, I've heard people say that there's like a lot of different thoughts on this spectrum, and I've heard people say that there was this one TikTok I saw where like Black British culture doesn't exist, or like it's a very, very new idea, which I believe is true. I believe it is a very new idea. I believe it is I would say around 50 years old, maybe 60. Um, or it starts, I saw this one video that said it starts at chicken and chips and three wings and chips and strawberry Mirinda, which I think in some sense is true because that is our newfound culture. Culture is not, it didn't just pop out in the world. Culture is created. Culture is curated. Um, Culture is more than like what I think I said this already, but culture is more than like food, like clothes and music. Like just because you are immersed in that, like yeah, I eat like a lot of different Nigerian foods, like half of my week. Like I have rice and stew. Like, I have rice and stew for like at least half of my dinner for the week. I'm not even being funny. Jollof rice nearly every week. Like okra soup, like very frequently. Like I'm always eating Nigerian foods. Like and obviously like as you grow older, like it's not really your parents who cook for you. You start to cook foods for yourself. So I've like I cook different things. I cook whatever. But like when I want a good like when I want to feel full, I will be eating like my culture's foods. Like traditional clothes I have, all of that stuff. Nigerian weddings, well, I've actually never been to a wedding. Um, it's a bit sad. But, Nigerian parties and hall parties and all that stuff I've experienced. But culture is more than that. Like, I think there's a level of like certain like traditionalism that Nigerians have, or like Africans have, or Caribbeans have. I can't really speak for Caribbean culture, but I know that we are very similar in a lot of ways in terms of the way we think. And I guess that's the way Black people think in general. But um, yeah, there's a level of traditionalism that Nigerians have. I can only speak for that I know of, that I have removed myself from. Um, a level of thoughts that they think about like how they interact with the world that I have removed myself from. I just don't think that way because there's a like I think there's a level, I guess, in the older generations of closed-mindedness that we don't have. And that is because of our newfound culture that we've created because we live in a different generation. We have created a new culture, which is Black British culture. And I feel like there was the earlier stages of Black British culture, which is like heavily like Caribbean influence, like has heavy Caribbean influence and a lot of like Caribbean influence and what we would consider as like old school um slang that has been made because of Caribbean influence and such. But there's also like the newer generation of culture that we've made. Um, and we can't hide the fact that it's been created and we can't just call it because it's not just straight up being African and it's just not straight up being British. It is a combination of both. Um, and yeah, I just wrote down a few things that I feel like it is because those videos inspired me. Like that video about it starts at three wings and chips and strawberry Mirinda. Or there was another video I saw that was like being Black British is going to school and making a Harry Potter reference and you not being able or you or your friend not being able to reply because you've never watched Harry Potter because you were told it was demonic. I've never watched Harry Potter, guys. Like, I guess I'm a lot older now, so I have the opportunity to, but when I was younger, I was not allowed to watch Harry Potter. Like, because of that exact same reason. And I feel like that is a combination of you having traditional African parents and being immersed in the UK. And it's a common experience that a lot of us have. And when you think about it, our kids, like our kids, our kids, and so on and so forth, they are not going to have that original experience of what their descent is from. Like, I think, the whole thing of like African Americans thinking that we're copying them. I don't think that's the case. I think we don't know where we stand, where we know where we're from, but we are not in the country that we are from. We are in another country trying to hold on to what we're from. And it's like, I think going back to what I said about feeling shame, I feel a level of shame because I'm trying to hold on to a culture that I know, but I don't completely know it. Truthfully, I don't completely know it. And I'm scared for when I have kids. So when my like kids have kids, and it's like I need to learn my language. Like that's one big thing. I need to learn my language before my kids don't know nothing. And my mum and my dad are speaking to my kids, and they have no clue, like me. It's sad. It's really sad. And I think there's a level of grief that we have as Africans, um, feeling like what are our kids gonna be and act like if they don't have that original culture behind them. Um, and I think we should try our hardest to hold on to that culture, but not feel so like closed minded on the fact that that is all we are, because that's just not true. That's not what all we are. We are a mix of black and British. Um, so yeah, I have a few, like I said, I have a few things that I feel being black British is like in our new age. Starting with that, like being black British is chicken shops. Like, do you remember? Like, I mean, that's just a thing. That's the thing of chicken and chips. Like, I feel like something British is fish and chips. I mean, technically, fish and chips is not even British. I don't think. But chicken and chips is being black British, or even if you're a person of color, like just go after school having your free wings and chips. They used to be, for me, it was £2. I know I have older friends that at one point it was £1. I wish I was back at that time when free wings and chips are $3.99 now. Are you crazy? Well, it's not even free wings anymore. Technically, it's four, but it's cause he lives. Anyways, yeah, it's chicken and chip shops. Being black British is or being African British. I feel like it's a mix of both. It depends, but I'm gonna just use a cover and say black British. Being black British is bringing rice to school and sharing it in, or that rice leaking in your bag. Like, I feel like we've all experienced that. Like going to school and sharing out your jollof like with your friends, and even giving it to your white friends and them liking it. It's like we've all had that experience. Being black British is doing, or a black British girl specifically, is doing your edges in school and doing your friend's hair in the morning. Like when I was in school, in secondary school, I remember there was like every morning, like at that time it was Eco Styler. We would bring Eco Styler to school and do our edges. And I do hair. I've always been quite good at hair, so I used to do my friends' hair in school. My friends who didn't know how to do their hair in the morning, I would literally slick their hair back for them. Like I like just that community of being like a girl. Like I went to a girls' school. I went to a girls' school, and I went to a heavily black, heavily African, heavily Nigerian all girls school, and I'm actually quite grateful for that experience, because my Nigerian friends immersed me in my culture in ways that I don't think I necessarily got. And I think my area as well is heavily Nigeria. My area is known as Lagos. Like if you get on the bus, yeah, and you see a bald headed man, you might think it's your dad, but it's not. Like it's that serious. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of Nigerian culture in my area as well. So like I have a lot of Nigerian friends, like childhood friends, and like yeah, just the whole, like there's a lot of Nigerian shops. Like for example, I did not know that North London doesn't have tasties. If you're I'm from Southeast London. I was talking to my best friend who's from North London or Northwest. She didn't know what Tasties was until one opened recently in one of her areas. You haven't experienced Tasties? Like Tasties puff puff, Tasties meat pie. It won't compare to anything else I've ever, like, come on, like I can't believe. And that's because these areas like South and East London are heavily populated with African people. And I'm kind of glad to be raised in this area because of what I've got out of it. So yeah, just going back to secondary school, like having that experience of being around loads of African or loads of Nigerian girls, and like us sharing our experiences, like it made me who I am today, I can say for sure. But going back, yeah, like doing your friend's hair in the morning, it's not like it's what I said about not being able to watch Harry Potter. Like for me as well, I wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob because my mum thought he was silly. It's just things like that. Like I've watched a bit of SpongeBob now, but it wasn't like something that I consistently watched because I just weren't allowed. And like there's a lot of TV shows and films that, you know, my parents thought were like devilish or witchcraft and and it's like I have a lot of friends who can relate on that. Like I feel like that's just the experience of growing up with a mix of Britishness or like Western culture and African culture. And yeah, being Black British is seeing Uncle scream about Christ on the high street. Like even now, walking down my nearest high street, seeing some uncle screaming about something, like you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it. It's walking down the high street again, an auntie coming up to you if you want to do your hair. Like that's just common experience of any black person living in London, living in Britain. Um, it's going to the market like with your parents, like you know those like street markets and like I don't know, just being in your area. Like I guess if you're from like one of those areas, um seeing like the food markets like and like just loads of different like vendors and people like screaming like you know EastEnders like what's his name, Stacey's, if you're on that, if you're on that. But me, I always see that's another thing. It's like I grew up on EastEnders. My mum has been watching EastEnders since she was young, and we've just all grown up watching EastEnders. And sometimes I don't, I think this year is the longest period of me not watching EastEnders, but I will tune in at Christmas and I will tune in on New Year's, and it's like I always go back to it, like just because it feels like home, even though EastEnders itself doesn't feel like home, but it's like just me watching it with my mum when I was younger. Like I'll never, that is an experience that I want to hold on to, you know. So yeah, like well anyway, Martin, that's his name. Martin, like he owns like a little like fruit store, and you see like the people like in your local market area being like free tomatoes for a pound, like free tomatoes for a pound, like strawberries for a pound. You know, they have that certain, and it's like even though that in itself is kind of like British culture, but like you've experienced it because next to that is a hair shop, and next to that is someone selling like packet, like there's a fish shop where you get like your fish and like your meat, you know, like it's just like London. Like I guess it's like also the experience of being a black British Londoner and African and I guess kind of Caribbean culture, but it's just experiencing that as you grow up. I know a lot of people share that experience. It's talking to boss man in the corner shops. Like that's just like a London experience. But I feel like, you know, getting your everyone has like that one drink that they get. It's like when you're in secondary school and you go to the corner shop in the morning. And for me, I've had a lot of different snack addictions, but like getting my Haribo fix in the morning. I used to be a Pepsi addict. That was a really rough time. Really, really rough time. But I used to be a Pepsi addict, and I used to actually drink Pepsi like every single day, guys. Like it was serious. Like I have a serious sugar addiction that I cannot kick. Anyways, yeah, it's just like getting your little sweet treat, your little snack in the morning with your friends in the corner shop. Like it's just that now. Like and things like that is a culture in itself because it's a certain like experience that we have in our society, which is a part of what the meaning of what culture is. And you can't say that you're not British in that sense because that you won't have that experience in your like in the country that you are originally from. Like you won't have that experience of boss man in Nigeria. You just won't because it's a different country, it's a different culture. So, but when you have that combination of both, because people are from that country come over to this country, and people from other countries come over to this country, they bring their cultures with them, and it's created a newfound culture that we have. And I guess that is the new British culture. Um, and like yeah, like even as a child growing up, you have a different experience than someone who is from the country that you're originally from. Like um, we had things like wet play. Like, do you guys remember wet play? Like where you sit inside and you watch a film. Like I just remember specifically watching like Annie. Annie is one of my favorite films, like all of them. Even Black One is my favorite, of course, but like even the original Annie, just watching that at like wet play or like reading corner, like going to the reading corner and finding a book that you like. When we all like to read. Yeah, it's playtime, like having that, you know, it's summer dresses, it's like sports day, it's all of this stuff that we experience in this country, not just London, but Britain, that you don't experience, that wouldn't be your experience, I don't think, at least, in the country that your parents are from. And that is, I guess, like that type of stuff, like your primary school experience that we've all shared, and the games and stuff we used to play, um, is a part of British culture. But you yourself being black or being African or being Caribbean and having the mix is itself created a new culture, a black British culture. And also, I think going back to the meaning of culture, the ideas, customs, and social behaviors of a particular person or society, because of the things that we've grown up on and our parents' like beliefs and thoughts and their ideas and their social behaviors, um, you yourself as a person, as an individual, find the way you think and you choose whether or not you want to continue the way that your parents have raised you to think. And I think there's a level of you always um, kind of living by some of the core values that your parents have given you. Like just because it's just the way that you've been ingrained to think. And, you know, as a person, you can learn how to leave that box and find your own way of thinking, which I feel I have. But there's certain things that my parents have instilled in me, like certain like moral values that I will never leave because in my opinion, I think they're really important to have as a person. Um, yeah. So that in itself has created a new wave of culture, which I think we should be proud of. I think we should celebrate rather than say that it's something that doesn't exist because culture will never stay the same. Culture will always change and different people and ideas and thoughts and values will cultivate it, will 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 mold it into something new. And black British culture now will not be the same as black British culture in 10 years. Because even deep, like the people, I guess, in maybe the later ages of Gen Z or like millennials are now having kids. And I'm seeing that start to happen now where kids of um, like people who are from like the later ages of Gen Z and millennials, like their kids are different than how we were as kids because it's their parents who experience British culture now having children, you know? And I guess that's very similar to like Caribbean culture, like people who have been a lot of Caribbeans who their parents are born in this country and are like maybe three, four, five generations down. Um, there is a level, I can't speak on that, but there's obviously a difference to someone who is Caribbean, who their parents came from, for example, Jamaica, and then like come here. Like it's different to being a Caribbean immigrant than their parents who have been here since like the 60s, the 70s, you know? So culture always changes, basically, in conclusion. That's what I'm trying to say. And I definitely think we should celebrate that. Um, and yeah, there's a level of me I wish that I did feel that connection a bit more to my culture. Um, and I will always try and immerse myself when I'm older. Definitely going to be going back to Nigeria a lot more. I need to learn my language, but I think I will always have that separation because I'm just not born there. And I think everyone who is born in this country, we will always have a level of separation from our culture. And it doesn't make us any less African. It just makes us of a new generation. Um, like I can visit Nigeria as much as I can and I can learn the language, but at the end of the day, that language was not my first language. It is the language that I learned to speak. And it is not the country that I'm born in, it's the country that I am originally from. But I'm not originally from there. My parents are originally from there, or even one of my parents are originally from there. So it's like as much as I can try and immerse myself in it, it is a part of me, but it's not all of me. And we are multidimensional people. Like that is how it always is. Like you're not one thing. You are not a monolith. You can be multiple things. So I can be Nigerian, I can be Igbo, but I can also be black and I can also be British. And I don't think we need to be asking ourselves which one comes first. am I, in my opinion, I'm black first, because that's what when I walk into a room, that's what I am first to people. But I don't really think we should be focusing on that, like what comes first. Are you black? Are you British? Are you Nigerian? Are you from whatever tribe you're from? Like, but I think we should just be focusing on the fact that we're a mix of all of them. And with that comes a new culture. And yeah, I just love being from London, to be honest. And I love the childhood experiences that we shared. And when I think about childhood and primary school and secondary school, like there was loads of like fun moments where I'm glad to have been to be from. I'm proud to be Nigerian. I'm proud to be from another country and have people around me from that country, but are not necessarily from that, born in that country, because we can share the newfound experiences we've made here, you know? I guess in conclusion, like, I just really think we should be celebrating the fact, and I think we should embrace the fact that Black British culture is a thing. We can't deny that it is, but I do feel that we need to accept the fact that we are not the same as people from back home. We are different, and it's not. And I think I need to get over that shame and just find a new level of connection to my culture, which I have, like in the past, like I guess since I would say 17, 18, which I feel like is a bit late on, but like I started to discover, oh yeah, I remember in my A levels, I was doing Why Sargasso Sea. I hated that book, and it was about it was like the kind of sequelish to Great Expectations, or like it was like another writer did it, but it was based off of Great Expectations, where one of the characters was from the Caribbean, and there were certain things that they were talking about that from Caribbean culture that originated in African culture, and then I kind of started to go on a whirlwind and about like the African diaspora, and finding out different things about how different countries, African or Caribbean countries, are connected to each other. And then I started to go down a wormhole of like colonialism and how colonialism has affected Nigeria, and like what Nigeria was pre-colonialism and the beauty that we had there. I'm obsessed with like the original country, and I'm obsessed with like Afrofuturism, like, and I just think it's so cool that we had something before. It's sad, but I'm kind of connected to, I found a connection to my country through going down that wormhole and finding the history behind what we had before. And yeah, it's kind of opened my eyes about a lot of different things, and it's made me proud to be Nigerian even more than I was before. So even though no to colonialism, that is not something to be proud of. That is not something to celebrate at all. But I think what I'm trying to say is that there is something interesting about how culture can change and how things have been, what we've done with the fact that we've lost a part of ourselves and created something new. Like, for example, when Caribbeans, like people from America, like African Americans who are based in New Orleans, like they have gumbo, and gumbo is taken from okra soup. And I think that is so cool that they've taken something that they've kind of lost and they've made it something new with a newfound culture that they've created. And a lot of, as we know, a lot of African American like food and culture is obviously originated from African countries, Western African countries. And it's so interesting to see what humans can do when they have lost a part of themselves in terms of culture and found a way to spin it back and create a new one. And I think in relation to now being Black British, I think we should be proud of the fact that even though we didn't necessarily lose our culture by it being taken from us, those of people who are from immigrant families, we have been based in a new country with a new way of thinking, new social behavior. Like, we have completely different slang, the way we speak, the way we act. It's different. It's different from back home, or back home, as that's how I refer to. But yeah, it's different, and we have to accept the fact that it's different. And but I think it's beautiful what we've done with it, and the happiness and black joy that we've created out of that. And yeah, like, in another way that we are different, like when I've gone back, I didn't even need to speak. These people knew that I was not originally from there. Like, there was a time where I was in Nigeria, I was in the market, and I was standing there with my sisters, and one woman just came and touched my skin. She just came and touched my skin, and that's it. Like, we were like pets. We got stares because they knew that we were not from there. Or the moment you open your mouth, they're like, you're not Nigerian. Or there was this one time I was at work and I was serving a Nigerian lady who, like, she moved to this country, I guess a later age. She was like, I'm guessing you're, I said, oh yeah, I'm Nigerian. She was like, really? Well, are you Nigerian or British Nigerian? And it kind of stopped me there because I always, I guess, see myself as, like, I'll just say I'm Nigerian, but to like a Nigerian person's eyes who was born in Nigeria, I'm not just Nigerian, I'm British Nigerian. And when you tick boxes, that is what you are, or British, Black, British, African. So I guess instead of denying the fact that we are that, I think we should claim it. I think once we like kind of claim that and own it, and we can start to make new things with it. And yeah, I think that's beautiful in my opinion. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. This was my first, I guess, conversation on identity, and I really love to speak about things like this. This like my like relation to it, I haven't really talked about much before, but it's kind of freeing too, I guess. And I hope people relate, and I hope people who are Africans whose parents aren't just immigrants, I hope they find this as well and hopefully relate to me, and people who are even if you are from immigrant parents, like I hope you guys relate to this as well, because it's something that I think about a lot, but I was scared to post and I was scared to talk about because I thought people would maybe not agree with me, but I shouldn't care if people agree with me or not, like I guess. um but yeah, seeing more people on TikTok talk about it and actually like have interesting takes made me want to put my take on it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There'll be more conversations like this to come. If you actually watch this and you have ideas about conversations I should talk about, then like message me, like DM me, whatever. Like I'm down to talk about it. But yeah, that's the end of this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Yeah, so bye.